Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs postgame podcast presented by PointsBet. Use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera. This was supposed to be just an audio podcast. We had to throw this together when something this special happens on a regular night in the middle of the summer. The Cubs had 13 hits and 14 runs. They stopped their losing streak, and they beat the Pirates 14-5. I think it's a good decision because we've had so many negative post-game shows. I wanted to give Cody the opportunity to just soak this in, enjoy it. And we have to let, our producer, Lawrence, he's doing this after a long day too. So we got to give him some props too.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
See you later.
No, it's all good, man. I'm just watching the dog show, watching the Avs hopefully beat the Lightning tonight. And
This is a cool post game because Lawrence is never I don't think he's ever been like our
I did
producer.
a Cubs related post game once, but you're right. I don't think I've done one of your post games.
Not for us. Not that I remember.
I got a lot of chats to get to. So as Cody down there says, slam the like button for David Robertson's swing. Let's go, people.
Wasn't that a beauty? What an incredible moment in time, guys. Getting to watch David Robertson against Diego Castillo. That might go in one of the top moments of the year for the Cubs, even though it resulted in a strikeout.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for all the bust comments to come pouring in because he struck out in his first plate appearance. Hey, Robertson's a bust. No, it was kind of funny actually. You saw him at the end when he's walking back to the dugout saying like, "Oh, there's no way I wasn't swinging at that." Like,
right.
This is a good moment, especially in a blowout. It should have been a 13-run win, ended up being a 9-run win. But besides the point, like it was a blowout. The Cubs had the offense working on all cylinders today, firing on all cylinders today. Ends up in David Robertson's first plate appearance as a 37-year-old. Like it was a positive for sure.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
The only negative from tonight's game is the fact that this game could have been done right at 9 p.m. But that 9th inning was just, in fact, like incredibly way too long for what the score was. Like that was the only thing that was negative about tonight. That and Jonathan VR almost sending me like off on a gigantic rant. But
I saw the chat already on YouTube saying, "Hey, we slammed Jonathan VR and we did on the Twitter space before the game, Cody." And it was like, yeah, he did have 2 hits, but he also booted a ball that put Keegan Thompson in a bad position early in the game, which is exactly why we said, if you're going to shove him down our throat in the lineup every day, just make him DH. Like, I don't care. Like, just don't let him ruin the night for the pitcher. He's clearly got the yips in the field. He can't be that bad of a fielder. I don't believe he was most of his career. So I don't know what's going on. I actually feel bad for him, but it's been a long year for Jonathan VR. Despite 2 hits tonight, it just has not gone well.
Yeah, what is it like -8 defensive runs saved or whatever it is? I think we said that stat the other day.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong on that.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong on that, Ryan. I'm an analytics guy, not a defensive stats guy. If that makes sense.
Not a baseball savant guy.
But yeah, he booted the ball, and then Thompson, works out of it. But man, that ball hit to the warning track after that booted ball. That could have been like a game-changing homer. I'm telling you, I would have came on here and had a nice long 5-minute rant about how Jonathan VR is bad at baseball, guys. I would have. But tonight, it's just nice to win one. Kevin Malone, Cody Delmendo, it's just nice to win one, guys.
I mean, really, like the offense, okay, so great, 14 runs. That was one of the stories. But for me, again, this season's about individual performances and the team building for the future. What you saw to Keegan Thompson is what you want to see the rest of the season. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're really rooting for. More than you're rooting for beating the Pirates 14-5. You're rooting for Keegan Thompson going 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, ERA down to almost 3 again. And he's doing it on the back of 9 strikeouts against the Braves. So he's got, in his last 12 innings, he's got 16 strikeouts and 1 earned run. And as Brendan Miller pointed out, sure enough, we did see the slider again. And so he is incorporating that new pitch. And that's something that clearly is effective for him. Like the more he can add to his repertoire, the more likely it is that he will be a starting pitcher in the future. And the more he pitches like this, for 5-6 innings, the more likely he will be in the starting rotation too. He was great. Like he had, the second batter gets a triple in this game, and I kind of put on the worry pants, and I'm like, uh-oh, I don't know about this. This could be another doozy from Thompson, because prior to the last start, he hadn't been good for 2 starts, and nope, turned it around, got out of the inning without a run, and I thought that was really impressive and kind of set the tone for him the rest of the night.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys know how I feel about Keegan Thompson. He is a stud, man. He's been a stud all season. He's someone that has a lot of dog in him. That like Fangraphs, like, or maybe it's Baseball Savant. Ryan, like the meme, the dog in him with like the 100 at the end or whatever. You know that meme, Ryan?
Maybe I would have to see it.
I see it a lot on Twitter. It's like I want to say it's from Baseball Savant, but I'm not exactly sure. But it's just like all the rankings for like all these different things related to like pitchers or even hitters, like exit velocity and all this stuff. But it's like a ranking. I think it's percentile rankings actually. And there's the meme that says dog in him. And like that's what Keegan Thompson is and has been the last 2 starts. Has been all season outside of those 2 bad starts. But I don't know what his ERA is down at the moment. But I want to say it was
3.10 now.
Yeah, 3.10. Yeah, that sounded about right. Yeah. Yeah, dude, he's if there's anything positive about this season or just the first half of the season, he has to like be like 25% of the good news. Like,
oh yeah,
there's like you can use him in the bullpen, and he's proven me wrong. How I said, put him back in the bullpen after those 2 bad starts. I wasn't even necessarily saying to put him back there, but I was saying, he was forced into the position because the Cubs starters can't stay healthy. Well, now he's out here and he's shoving it down the Braves and the Pirates' throats. So, in a way, he's basically telling me that maybe I didn't believe in him enough. But yeah, no, the last 2 outings have been great. If you can get these type of outings from him the rest of the season, you can go into next year thinking this guy is a top 1 or 2 of your rotation. And that, and in my opinion, might set the Cubs up differently in terms of the future, like being part of or having being more competitive in the future than what a lot of people think right now. Again, got to see it all play out the rest of the season. But if he shoves and then the Cubs are like, we're not going to be good next year, then it's like what are we doing? Why are we even playing games for not trying to win? So again, there's a lot that goes into that, but you get what I'm saying.
No. Yeah, well, Keegan, I keep seeing everyone saying Keegan's dogging him, and Jack Hart says like the law dog handshake. Keegan's dogging him. Also, shout out Mongoose here from Sydney, Australia.
Wow,
we got a fan down under. No, Keegan was obviously impressive. His 2nd straight start, 6 innings, quality start, back to back. He had 94 pitches today, if I'm not mistaken, which would be, a new career high. He had 92 on Friday against the Braves. So he stretched out and he's able to, he's doing this over a lot of pitches, a lot more pitches than he usually throws. I mean, we talked about it even when he was just the multi-inning weapon out of the bullpen that, when he gets to become a starter, they got to make sure he has the kind of length that can be a rotation piece. And now he's getting that. He's not a high whiff guy, and you can see that today. 8 whiffs on 44 swings, 18% whiff rate. But he did have 20 called strikes. And then, that tells you that he's getting that. He's kind of fooling guys, but he's also keeping, working around the zone, getting his pitches in the right spots, and obviously, keeping these Pirates hitters off balance. That's what you want to see. 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. That home run was a lone earned run he gave up. I didn't take a look at where exactly that pitch was. But just in second straight start, second straight impressive start from Keegan Thompson. By the way, the home run was a 4-seamer up in the zone, so probably just a miss there. But yeah, no, again, second straight impressive start from Keegan. Got length out of him, got 6 innings, got him close to 100 pitches. And now you're kind of seeing that all this stuff is including that new slider, or that's what's being tracked as a slider coming in. That's 6 different pitches he threw tonight. And you're just seeing Keegan kind of coming, or 5 pitches tonight, right? Yeah, 5 pitches he threw tonight. But you're kind of seeing Keegan kind of coming into his own. The confidence is there. Just back, consecutive impressive appearances as a starter, getting that length, getting guys out, limiting runs, and obviously you want to see that continue. But after those two, the one in Baltimore and the one in New York, those starts, to bounce back and do it consecutively is a very positive sign from Keegan. And I mean, you got to look and see where he goes from here. But those are 2 very good starts to kind of get himself back on track.
Did you see the tweet from Lance Brozdowski of Marquee? He's the Brendan Miller of Marquee. There's 2 of those guys out there. And he's got Driveline Baseball's SUTFF plus model. 100 is average. So basically it's rating like the types of pitches each guy throws. And his fastball is 139, so above average. His cutter, 101, right at average almost. Curveball, 98, almost average. Slider, the new slider, 125. So that would give him, potentially 2 of them that are above average pitches so far at the major league level. And, it's a great sign. We've talked about just yesterday, can Schwarmer add another pitch? I don't know, maybe, but you see that Keegan Thompson has done it. You've seen Steele do it this season. And not only is Thompson doing it, he's adding one, which has become currently is his second best pitch at the moment, and he's starting to incorporate it even more. Now the fastball, at Wolf Designs saying in the chat, and you're totally right, Wolf. He was elevating the fastball well with 2 strikes too. He was just too much for some of those hitters. He looked good. I mean, there's nothing negative to say about Keegan Thompson. He had 2 bad outings as a starter. He's basically he's a rookie. This is it. I know he pitched some last year, but really this is his first real shot at the major leagues. And I mean, he's passed it with flying colors so far. You take a couple of those outings out and he's as good as anybody. Even with the 2 bad outings, his ERA is at 3. So
yeah,
that's
you take
good.
take those 2 bad outings out, he's probably well under 3, honestly, because he had a 1.99 ERA going into that start against the Orioles. I think I'm not good at that kind of math either, but that seems pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, and you can't take out those starts. Obviously, you can't take out those starts, but when you include those starts, and I think the biggest part of that is that he had those struggles and he had those challenges, and so far he's bounced back very, very well from those 2 starts. I think, you'd love to just not have those 2 starts happen, but another step in the development is seeing him have, again, go through those struggles, but be able to bounce back and have 2 really good outings in a row, coming off of that, and obviously lowering the ERA, getting a bunch of strikeouts, limiting hits, limiting runs. Just again, I'm going to keep saying it, but just impressive stuff all around from Keegan, especially when you take into consideration how the road trip went for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like Jack's comment. He says he dotted up Vogelbach one at bat. I think he caught him looking. It was a fastball, painted on the outside bottom edge or whatever. And I won't lie, it made my hair stand up a little bit because it's not like we see that a lot, from a lot of the Cubs pitchers. So he's just, the command was there. It's been there the last 2 starts, really been there all season. And yeah, I won't repeat what we've already been saying, but that was probably my favorite moment from him tonight, was that one getting Vogelbach looking. And I remember from my memory, I think Vogelbach thought it was a ball, and on the TV, at least in the square, it was well in the zone. So Vogelbach's known for someone to have a good eye. So I mean, I think that's just shows how good he's got it going. So, yeah, man. Keegan Thompson is man, it's just nice to talk about some positivity, guys. It really is. It feels nice. Feels nice.
Jack says Keegan was Bob Ross tonight. He was painting so well out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of. It's nice to see that there's some positivity in the chat as well. There's still some
outside of
negativity,
Michael,
which is certainly expected based on the way the season has gone. But tonight there are some positives to at least talk about. You want to hit up? What do you want to do now? You want to do who you got, since that was such a big win for me?
Oh my God.
I forgot to. I didn't even
streak, and then
they
turned it around against the Braves, and
finally
wow,
wins.
I've been on a slide. That was really some kind of pick for me.
I didn't even have a pick.
Wait. Luke didn't even win yesterday, and he conveniently forgot to even mention who you got on the postgame show yesterday.
There was too much bitterness. We didn't have time for who you got.
And then
I don't remember
he gets away.
Even though we talked about ice cream for like 5 minutes.
We can't even get 10 minutes into this show, and Luke's already want to go on to who you got.
Well,
I think
Ryan probably won last night, and in the Slack channel that we have at work, like, he fires off his pick as Contreras. I'm like, oh man, I got to get somebody in there. I thought, man, I'm going to go with Wisdom, and there you go. 14th homer, 2 for 4, 4 RBI. And I saw at the beginning of the chat, like when we first started the show, David was saying, where are all the Wisdom haters now? Probably trying to trade him just like our front office. Others have been giving his props. It would be interesting to see if he goes on a bit of a streak like Ryan Dempster was talking about during the game, because he's one of those guys. I'm not going to put him in the same category as a player as Javi or Soriano, but he is that type of streaky hitter where he goes in big waves with his home runs, it seems like. And so, we keep saying, like, if he gets to the trade deadline with 20 and he's playing third base, what would the value be there? At the same time, then the flip side is, well, there's value in a guy that has that much power and can play third base. And frankly, you need players that can hit moving forward. Like, you can't afford to be giving everybody away, because you're not going to be able to sign everybody. So let's see what happens. But it will be an interesting decision for the Cubs, and obviously to be based on solely what kind of market there is for him.
I think the biggest thing about Patrick Wisdom that still continues to blow my mind is that no one just wants to accept the fact that he's actually a good Major League Baseball player. And that's not to say that he's like a guy you want to build your team around, or you just someone that you want to play in the lineup every day. But that's like a continuous argument on Cubs Twitter that I noticed, and it's got to a point now where I just laugh about it, because it's like, just enjoy the fact that he's giving the Cubs any value at all that they can actually use to trade him, or if they want to keep him, fine. It's not like they're paying him anything. Like, I'm at the point where I don't really care. I mean, I'd rather them trade him than Ian Happ or Wilson Contreras if we're going to make trades, in my opinion. But I've got to the point with how bad the Cubs are playing that they're open to moving literally everyone except for Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, a few of the bullpen guys, and Christopher Morel and Nico Horner. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like outside of those guys, I'm like, all right, everyone's open for, to be shopped. And that's not me saying that I think that's going to happen. I'm just saying that it could. And I think Patrick Wisdom has been very good. And I would go as far to say it's been a bounce back season for him after how he ended last year, because he was striking out a ton last year at the end when the league figured him out. And this year, yes, he's still striking out well over 30% of the time, but it has gone down over the last month, which is good to see. And he's making more contact. And again, he walks enough, plays good defense at third most of the time. Like, he's a very solid major league player that any team that needs depth on, honestly, anywhere on the diamond, because the Cubs will play him anywhere except for up the middle and catcher and pitcher. Like, he's shown that he's a very solid baseball player and could be very useful for a team that's competitive. So yeah,
a winning team could start Patrick Wisdom at third base and still win the World Series. there can be a lineup that wins the World Series where Patrick Wisdom is a starting player. That's not debatable. Like he's at the very least an average Major League Baseball player, but his power is certainly not average.
Right.
And,
No,
and his fielding
but
is
that's
not
kind
average,
of
so that makes him valuable.
Right. And I agree. It's just like, it feels like some people just don't buy that he's even that. It's like disrespectful to a point where they just think he's just a guy that the Cubs are playing because they don't have anyone else to play a third. And it's like, if you've never even brought up like Baseball Reference to even just look at the normal stats like that, like that's what's kind of mind blowing to me. Cause it's like, he's again, a very solid Major League Baseball player. It's honestly kind of surprising that it took this long for him to get to the majors, because if you look at the stats before he was with the Cubs, he really had never been given a chance. He really hadn't. He hadn't been ever given any kind of real opportunity to play every day. So whether he's with the Cubs after August 2nd or not, like, I will be content. But again, if the Cubs want to maximize the opportunity to get significant value back for some of these guys that probably aren't going to be part of the next who aren't probably going to be part of the next great Cubs team, then I get it.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick Wisdom has been, like you mentioned, Cody, just been, especially over the last month since changing the bat, whatever, strikeout rates down. I mean, I think it's under big knob. I think it's under 34% when it was like over 40. So like in a month, he brought that down like 7%. So he's been changed as far as like he's not striking out so much. I think the approach has been a little better. Obviously, he's still hitting home runs, which, hey, I mean, Patrick Wisdom might make not the All-Star game, but the home run derby at this point. I mean, he's hitting a lot of home runs. But yeah, I think we talked about it before that he is, for teams looking, teams do want extra bats off, whether it's bats off the bench, guys they can plug into the lineup here and there. I mean, Patrick Wisdom is a good, productive hitter in the major leagues, and he has been over the last calendar year. I know the back half of 2021, like you said, league started figuring him out, struggled. He's shown that he can be a productive hitter. Now he's not going to hit for high average, and he's still going to strike out a lot. That just kind of comes with the territory, but he's looked improved at the plate over the last month. And I think teams looking for bats could entice them. As far as like when the trade deadline comes, the Cubs are looking to shop him. Like, that is something that Patrick Wisdom could be a piece that a contending team might come looking for.
Who else do we know that has a not so great batting average but has great power? Like, the most obvious one. Like, who else?
Rizzo.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Schwarber, but like
Schwarber's another one. Yeah, Schwarber's another.
Like,
he's a better defender than Schwarber.
For sure, he's definitely better. Yeah, I agree.
He's just not. Schwarber provides you a little punch. I'd say more punch, but we'll see about that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, someone, I think it was David, it was like one of the very first comments. He didn't put all of like Wisdom and Schwarber's numbers there, but they're not very far off. I think Schwarber has 18 homers, Wisdom 14. RBI total is pretty close. I mean, if you look at those basic stats, it's like, well, at least it's not that far off. Their batting averages for both of them have been down around the same this year as two. I don't have the numbers up, but like, he's giving you similar or maybe not the same value, but he's giving you similar numbers as Kyle Schwarber. And not to say that the Cubs were better off having Patrick Wisdom over Kyle Schwarber, but I will say would have been nice if they had both of them whenever, and knowing that they talked to him in the offseason. Yeah. It's kind of like, man, would have been nice to have that extra power, because what was the one thing they didn't get in the offseason? A left-handed power bat.
Yeah, right.
And it would be nice to have both of them. Who knows what the team is? Who knows if they're even still good or not? But like, I think David made a great point there with, comparing Schwarber's and Wisdom and just bluntly saying, this team just doesn't have a lot of power, and Wisdom is one of the few that do have the consistent power. So it's kind of, when you think about it, it's like, man, who knows what this lineup would be like if into that.
Yeah, the left-handed bat would be nice. So, real quickly to wrap up who you got. And by the way, Cody didn't pick anyone in a real power play. He flexed and decided he was so far ahead of everyone that he wasn't even going to pick tonight. Now,
he just gave up.
Ryan, you took Contreras, which is a good pick, but let's play the what if game, right? Wisdom 2 for 4, 4 ribbies, 14th homer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody had been bold and picked Rivas 2 for 4, 5 RBI in a grand slam, what if you had picked
Ortega
3 for 5?
Yeah, I was considering Ortega earlier, but like when I did that, and then Keegan would have been good. I mean, Rivas 2 for 4, but that grand slam came off a position player pitching. Like it was, if he didn't hit a grand slam there, it would have been disappointing.
Would I still? My point is, would I still have won if somebody picked one? If Cody had not been flexing and actually picked one of these guys, or what if he would have picked Robertson and he would have like hit a home run in that at bat? Like, would that have been enough to launch him over Wisdom? Was there any way I was losing it? Because once Wisdom hit the homer, I pretty much just assumed I had won. And that's because I knew that Cody hadn't picked anyone. But if he had,
I think Keegan would have been the only one.
Keegan would have made it a conversation.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Ortega had a good day, and I want to talk about Ortega a little bit too. Ortega had a good day, and just
Ryan wants to talk about Cubs legend Rafael Ortega.
Well, we're talking about trade chips and teams coming, looking for bats.
Yeah,
at the time, like he's been. I have the stats right here since May 26th. He's 22 for 60, which is good for a 367 average, 441 on base, 517 slugging, so adds up to a 958 OPS. And it's so quiet, like no one really thinks about it, but he has quietly over the last 21 games has been a really, really solid hitter. I think I remember talking to Ross a few weeks ago about Ortega kind of getting back into it, and I think he was kind of saying that like one of the things is like Ortega just getting used to DHing, right? Which it's only hitting, you're taking away the defensive side, but it's also like it's still a new position. You still have to learn how to just hit, and then when you're in the dugout instead of playing in the field and staying how to stay locked in every half inning because you're not in the field anymore. So it is different. And I think Ross said as soon as he kind of got used to it after a couple weeks of DHing, you see where the numbers have really started to improve. And just that stretch, this last 3-week stretch, 21 games is just he's been very, very productive. So if he can keep this on for another month, which we saw him have a really good second half of 2021. So it's not impossible that he has another good month, another good stretch. Then teams see that, teams want to bat, especially a lefty bat. A fourth outfielder, if that, a lefty bat, would be a solid bet off the bench. Could come looking for, and that's just another guy who, Cody, you like to say, trade value up. That's a guy who's been performing. So if teams come calling at the deadline, like that's another guy that could, could be there. Could be a guy that teams want to look into.
Well, in the postseason too, he kills right-handed pitching, so he gives you a good pinch hitting option that you could leave in the game if you need to. We got so excited, I pretty much forgot about the ad reads. So, Cody, how did you do on PointsBet?
Tonight, guys, I listened to our friends over at CHGO White Sox. So, and I rode on the boost we had on the PointsBet app today. And I think I bet another thing. I did bet Blue Jays money line though. So shout out to the Blue Jays for just completely destroying the White Sox today. But I came home 1-2 today, and so I was like, all right, I'm just going to take one bet in tonight's game, and it was Cubs money line first 5 innings. I wish I'd done the entire game, but I did first 5 innings, and it was literally never a doubt. So made it on my favorite app over on PointsBet. And if I can get this ad read to load up on my computer, that'd be great. Let me try and load it again here.
I got it. You want me to do it?
Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it.
I got
the
it.
best
I
way
got
to
it.
support CHGO, Cody.
It is the best way to support CHGO. And if you download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up, if you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker, like the one I'm wearing right now, like all the ones everyone was wearing at the tailgate today as well. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. You're home for live in-play betting. Just got even better. See an edge in the game you're watching? Is your favorite team primed for a comeback? Well, it's nice to see that I didn't have to live bet the Cubs today. Don't just watch the game, bet along with it live. And if you live bet the Pirates, well, you might need to call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm just saying, more live betting, more live markets, and the faster live cash outs. Follow along with your bets the moment they hit and stay in the live action all game long. Download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants to help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services. All right.
Hey, Cody, this one's for you because I know this is what you were missing last night and you were just all out of sorts and you got a bad night's sleep. It's Strava CBD coffee that's a game changer. It's helped thousands of people improve their overall wellness and quality of life. It delivers delicious, fresh, roasted specialty coffee infused with organic, broad-spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp that doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you feeling alert and focused without the jitters. Live your day more balanced with less anxiety, fewer aches and pains. Plus, CBD in your daily routine can help you enjoy, Cody, a more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. Strava, all about the quality, everything small batch and fresh shipped to your door. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase using the code CHGO25. That's 25% off the entire order. StravaCraftCoffee.com. When you use the code CHGO25 at checkout, discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, one use per customer. And if you already love Strava, like Cody, then subscribe and save with the Coffee Club. Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. You had a long day today, Cody. Oh, look at that. Law Dog's got his Strava at home.
Yeah, the Law Dog, he knows what he's doing.
Law Dog just got
he
it.
Probably got the CBD tinctures there too.
Hey,
yeah,
I'm not going to talk about that.
It's a more traditional format.
There you go.
But you like it, right, Cody? You're big on the Strava.
Oh, I love Strava. It's great in the morning, and it gets you going, but it has to be whatever is in all that stuff that helps me sleep later that night. It's a beautiful thing. As someone who is kind of a night owl and doesn't like to go to bed.
Joel Martinez says, had Strava the other day. Didn't bode well for the restroom. Come on, Joel.
You didn't do it right.
These are proud sponsors, and we all know it had nothing to do with the restroom. It had way more to do with you had Taco Bell 3 times. Most likely it was the Gordita.
Oh.
The Gordita Crunch.
Ooh. Yeah.
That'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
That'll get you. You know who I was thinking of? And again, it has nothing to do with Strava, is our buddy producer, Steven, who does a lot of the White Sox stuff. He did that 9 innings, 9 hot dogs, and 9 beers at the CHGO party today. Oof, would not want to be in his house.
He was taking it like a tank, though. Like
he's a crazy person.
Yeah,
he was at like 6-3 before me and Cody left. Like, this is like the 5th inning.
I honestly, like, I shouldn't have been surprised because we see that guy sitting in the office making his dinner that he brings, and it's always like × 2. Like he brings enough food for like 2 people, maybe 3 sometimes. Remember the one time he had
hamburgers and he had 2 pounds of ground beef he ate after eating 2 burgers.
Yes. He eats more than me in a sitting. It's insane. It's really
he did it. He did finish.
That's just like why? And what did it cost him? It must have cost him like $200. 9 beers, 9 dogs.
I don't know the answer to that, but I did say that I would help with the Venmo if necessary. I haven't been contacted about that, but it was funny. He finished, and actually it was like the 8th inning because that game got slow at the end. He was worried because we didn't get into the building until the 2nd inning. He's like, I missed an inning. Are you going to count that against me? I'm like, yeah. and he finished, and I'm like, how are you feeling? And there was like Herb's, I don't know. It was one of his friends was like, are you going to throw up? And he's like, no, man, I'm fine. And I was like, oh my God.
Even Casey was like, I'm concerned for Steven. Like, I don't know if he's going to make him. I'm like, he'll be fine.
It was like a blowout by like the third or fourth inning. It became the Steven show. We were like trying to figure out what's going on.
Sox tried to come back. It was like my
for a large part of the game. It was not close.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Steven was the most interesting thing going on at guaranteed rate.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
They should have a tally for him on the scoreboard.
Yeah. The tailgate was also
the tailgate was excellent.
Yeah.
If you weren't there this time around. Yeah, if you weren't there this time around, you should come hang out with us next time. Sure, we'll have another one.
A couple good photos on the old internet.
Oh yeah.
Joel, by the way, does point out it wasn't Strava's fault. It was indeed a lettuce wrap from Subway.
Get you. Get you.
Gotta watch out. And Ramses doesn't want me talking bad about Taco Bell because the one that used to be on Addison by Wrigley saved him countless times.
The legendary one.
Legendary Taco Bell. Rest in peace.
Iconic. It can save you in the moment, but that doesn't mean it saves you like the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved that Taco Bell and all, but come on.
Yeah.
It was a dump.
Now it's a Katina.
All right.
So, hey, by the way, weirdest story of the day was not the 9 hot dogs in 9 innings with 9 beers. It's Clint Frazier now saying he wants to change his name to Jackson Frazier.
Huh?
Yeah. And apparently Cubs players were already calling him Jackson. It's his middle name. And he said a lot of his family members call him Jackson, his middle name, instead of Clint. So I don't know why he was going for Clint Frazier that long if his family calls him Jackson Frazier, but apparently he's now Jackson Frazier.
He probably had a coach that called him that at some point. And
sounds like a much more baseball name, in my opinion. I think
he'll hit better.
Maybe he's primed to reach that first round pick potential now. I love the move.
I quickly want to point out, I'm sorry to hijack this, but Shy in the chat down there, the CHGO crew threw a great tailgate. I got to meet Shy. He's awesome. It was cool to meet some of the fans of the CHGO brand and all that. And
yeah,
it was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Nice.
And cool that Shy is on late at night, like all this time later, still supporting us and hanging out with us, right?
Yeah, Shy and I were enjoying a delicious a sketchbook, no parking Citra Pale Ale that was brought to the tailgate by another fan, Jay, who works. He's like a brewer. I mean, I love this guy. I was like, he brought some beers that he had brewed, and awesome. Shy and I shared one of those, and we didn't have 9 beers like Steve.
No,
we had some beers, so it was great.
Yeah, I bet.
There you go.
All right, back to Jackson Frazier. I'll get out.
Yeah, Jack says Jackson Frazier did hit a 2-run single today, so that that's good.
And
there was he did what?
I was just going to say, Joe also adds that changing your name works because Giancarlo Stanton did it. Remember, they used to call him Mike.
Yeah.
So I'm convinced Clint Frazier very much back.
That's a good point. That is a good point. I saw somebody on Twitter, and I wish I should have written down the Twitter handle, but they had the best joke that I've seen on Twitter in a long time. They said he should have changed his name to Jason Hayward so he could have cracked the Cubs starting lineup.
Oh, that's a great. That's great.
I got it. That's tip of the cap. That's
tip
pretty
of
good.
the cap.
Pretty good line.
Yeah.
It's pretty good line.
But also facts. Come. That's so true. But I won't sit here. I won't sit here and yell about Jason Hayward tonight.
No.
He played well tonight. Whatever. Do it again for like a week and maybe I'll change my mind, or at least I'll start tweeting about his trade value increasing.
Right. Hey, we talked about it on the Twitter space. Oh yeah, there's a shot if you're watching on YouTube of the tailgate.
Yeah,
like 50 people went to the game, right? Like people jumped in on the tickets, and
we had a great time.
Weber Grill was out there.
Cook some.
The brats were so good. The food was great today. Shout out to Weber. Yeah.
So earlier today, Cody, we talked about it on the Twitter space before the game because we didn't have a pregame show. That Jed Hoyer was on with Cap and Jay Hood this morning on AM 1000. We were wondering last night, is anybody going to ask him about Jason Hayward, he did respond with, like, it's got to do with injuries. I don't know if I buy that. But one of his quotes that I thought was interesting, and it's something we've pretty much been saying for months. I don't know that it's too earth-shattering, but it is interesting that he's admitted it. He said we were too stubborn with that core group, I guess is the way he would put it. He said we saw what they did at 22 and 23 years old and believed they were going to get back to that point with the same group. We really did want to honor what they did for this city and wanted to do it with, with this team, the same group. We didn't do it with them. No other way to say it. I think we probably, at the moment after 2018, we probably should have reset things and changed the mix there. So it's something he feels like he's learned from that process that they went through. And, that's we've all been saying, like, they stuck with the core. That part of it, I understand why they stuck with the core, because you wanted to give Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Schwarber, all those guys one more shot at it. And then you had, weird 2020 season in there too. But, like, they probably should have made at least a minor adjustment. And frankly, they should have added somebody to the mix. It wasn't like they didn't add enough bats. Like, they could have switched up, but they also could have added to the puzzle more than they did.
And so this kind of goes back to what I've always said, like, Addison Russell, they held on to him way too long. Like, you want to talk about Bryant, Baez, and Rizzo, but, like,
yeah, you're right.
They held on to Addison Russell way too long. The fact that they went into 2019 with Addison Russell as their starting shortstop after all the off-the-field stuff, and the fact that he was not good in 2018 either, and wasn't very good in 2017. So, like, 2.5 or 2 years of just not really being good except at defense. But he even struggled there. Never forget the base running thing where he just completely forgot a sign or something like that. I remember that being blown up a ton in Chicago media when that happened. Like, they held on to Addison Russell way too long, man. That's the biggest thing to me. The fact that they held on to him, and then it's not that they didn't move Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, or Schwarber or whatever, but like you said, Luke, supplementing the roster. You had a Ben Zobrist. You needed more, like maybe one or two more Ben Zobrist type players. In 2016, they had Dexter Fowler. He was an on-base machine. He could hit for contact. He could hit for power. Ben Zobrist had an all-star season in 2016 as well. And then you got contributions out of, like, Chris Coughlin and a few of these others. Contreras comes up. Like, they just really didn't go out and find, like, just really solid professional hitters. Like,
they didn't add Bryce Harper. Let's say,
they didn't add Bryce Harper. That's for sure. And the thing, to me, it's not even like they didn't even have to add Bryce Harper. It was more of just, like, again, supplementing the roster with just solid major leaguers. They added Daniel Descalso after they said that the offense was broke. I mean, what are we doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You didn't like Sogard?
Oh man.
We even I know Corey and Brendan don't mention his name for a reason. We need to get to that point too, man.
Wasn't it Brian Smith that had, like, a tweet the other day about, like, all the position players they've added since, like, 17 or something like that? Had like very negative WAR.
It was like a minus 2.3 F WAR. Yes.
But that comment by Jed kind of reminded me a few weeks back when we were talking to him on the South Side and kind of asked him, like, what lessons he kind of learned from the last rebuild and, like, lessons he learned to not repeat. One of the things that kind of stuck out to me, he said, I think that we held on to a group of players until the very end. Replenishing along the way is something that other teams have done, candidly, better than we did it. To be willing to make some trades earlier to replenish. Young players are the lifeblood of a championship team, and we got to a place where we didn't have that. We traded a lot of our prospects. We hadn't developed as effectively, and we kept that group until the very end, really, in part because we felt a real sense of belief in that group. This is a group that wanted to win a World Series. We wanted to do it with that group again. I don't regret that at all, but I do think that we didn't make any of those moves several years earlier in order to kind of continue that cycle. So it kind of just goes back to that. Like, Luke, you've been saying it that all year that those trades should not have all come at the deadline last year.
Right, and you would have got more for them even earlier.
Yeah, some of them should have come earlier, and I think Jed – in that, a couple of weeks ago when he talked to us on the South Side, and then now in talking to Cap and Hood, that he acknowledges that holding on for that long clearly did not work out in their favor. Because they got that run of like hitting on those first round draft picks. Like they got them. They all came up and were good. And then they didn't do anything really after that, whether it's, again, like he said, replenishing the farm system, prospects, and bringing them up. Like you saw, I mean, Ian Happ was like the last like top tier prospect that came up. I guess Bodie too, but it just never felt like it did in like 14, 15, 16 when all these guys started to come up. It's like once they all came up at the same time, then it kind of tapered off after that. And that's why you had everyone set to reach free agency at the same time last year, because they all came up at the same time. Like they didn't, I'm not saying they needed to stagger it because they were trying to win, but it's just like it didn't even out in a way that they could have really had a good cycle instead of having free agency for everyone at the same time. I think, I mean, again, Jed acknowledges that it will know for sure whether he really does kind of figure it out this time around and doesn't allow that cycle to happen again. But yeah, I mean, long story short, I guess, is just that him talking in that quote from they talked to Cap about just kind of reminded me of that. It's like he understands that was a mistake, but now it's kind of up to him to not repeat that same process.
Right. And you're right. That's one piece of why it's fallen apart the way it has. Obviously, it's not developing pitchers. It's taking, turning down Verlander to do the Quintana deal. Like there's multiple things in there that happened. And as Fly the Dub says in the chat, it's all hindsight. That's just the way it is. And now you've got to accept the facts the way they are. And, hopefully they don't make those same mistakes twice. And hopefully the rebuild goes as quickly as it did last time, or in this case, hopefully quicker than it did last time with some of those guys. And again, you got to hit on a lot of prospects, but you also have, a dump truck full of money that you can also go spend some and fix some of those holes too. So we'll see how it goes. Cody, I do want to get your PointsBet pick of the week. Do you have something for us that you're a big play you're looking at, or something you're thinking about for a pick of the week?
I was thinking about betting the Cubs tomorrow, but that
what about Steele maybe?
Yeah, a little Justin Steele action. I kind of like that. Maybe that's a good transition into tomorrow. I don't know. Yeah, also, we kind of transitioned kind of fast into this because like I had a lot more thoughts about what we were talking. But
we go back to that. Let's go back to it. What do you got?
Okay. Well,
there's no rules here, Cody.
Again, I think the Cubs can split tomorrow, so I'm probably going to bet the Cubs tomorrow. But as far as like what we were talking about, again, I like Fly the Dub said, it's all hindsight. My thing is like a lot of fans are going to take whatever Jed said today and they're going to just use it to fuel more of their disdain for him because of how bad this team has been this year. And they're going to use it to disdain or put down Theo Epstein if they weren't a fan of him even more. And again, I think it's just, I'm just reiterating that it's just too early. Even in a season like this, it's too early to say that Jed has done an awful job. It is too early. It is way too early. And people are pissed off about this team, and I'm pissed off about this team. And I think that this team should be better, and that a lot of things like that. But again, given the situation he was in when Theo left, he did pretty good as far as getting returns back. We just haven't seen them all play out. Now, if all these guys come up eventually and they all suck, then yeah, we can say that Jed was a complete and utter failure. But again, I just think it's way too early, and I think that at the end of the day, no matter what he said about whatever today, I don't, if you want to know if this is a rebuild or not, I don't think we're going to know until after the deadline. I don't. He wasn't going to just straight up tell us if it was a rebuild or not.
Yeah,
he's just not. And everything that you mentioned too, Luke, it's, to me, it's just saying what you got to say and to just answer these questions. I will say that I thought Cap did a good job of, asking the hard questions and stuff. He asked about Hayward. Why is he playing so much and all this? I think that, at the end of the day, we're really going to know where this Cubs team is headed after August 2nd. And I pray that it's not the worst that I'm thinking. I do not want to do this podcast for another 2-3 years and where we're just sitting here like begging for something, like for some guy to have a good night so we can all be like, oh, well, there's something positive. You know what I mean? Like,
so we don't have to talk about ice cream.
Yes. Like,
yeah. Well, I still
all
like
of us
to
in the
talk about
chat,
ice. Regardless, I like a little ice cream.
All of us in the chat, us three, like we would prefer to watch a winning baseball team. And again, I think that despite how bad it's been, I think there are ways, or there is a path to that earlier, even still right now. But yes, it's going to take a lot more development throughout the year, and we need to find out is what's the health status of Brendan Davis, and what's how will Caleb Killian pitch when he comes back, like, and all these things. Where will Nico Horner's numbers be at the end of the year? Like I know he's great defensively, but yeah, he's kind of been in a slump the last couple of weeks. What can he get out of it? Can he be a 3-4 WAR player by the end of the year? I don't know. There's just a lot of questions that we just still don't know. And that's why, to me, we still have to wait and find out. Now, we find out these questions and then we see how the offseason goes. If there's still some significant pieces on this team, then I do think that we at least have a competitive team next year. But again, we just don't know. And I don't blame people for thinking it's going to be a 3 or 4 year rebuild because they think that the Cubs are going to trade everyone. I don't blame you for thinking that. Right. But I think all three of us can sit here and agree that the Cubs should make some trades, but they don't have to trade everyone.
I think
they
we've
don't.
been saying that for a while. I think we'll also have more of an idea of where exactly the direction of this rebuild is going when I don't even know if the trade deadline is. I think the offseason will tell us a little more about what it is, because if Jed goes out and signs a couple of guys, a couple of big name free agents, okay, you're like, okay, he's willing to, they're willing to spend the money. They're willing to, get some big name free agents in here to try to help the Cubs win. Then you kind of maybe think a little, okay, maybe it's not going to be as long as a lot of as it seems right now, right? With how bad the Cubs have been, and just obviously that 10-game losing streak really did a number on the expectations and the hopes. But I think the offseason, more than the trade deadline, might tell you a little bit more about, hey, how long is this rebuild really going to be? Because if he makes a good moves, competitive moves, and not just throwing out 1-year deals on guys to flip at the trade deadline, if he makes competitive deals, multi-year deals on guys who can contribute to a winner, then you maybe start thinking it might be a little shorter. If he kind of has the same sort of offseason that you had this last time, then you kind of have to push things back another year at least, right? So I think the offseason, what Jed does, what the front office does, will probably tell you more about what to expect as far as how the timeline goes.
Yeah, and I think Cody and Ryan, you guys both just kind of answered Joe on the chat. His question was, I keep hearing we're going to know more after the deadline, but what moves the deadline would signal it's not a long rebuild? Well, it's exactly what you've been saying. Does he keep Contreras? Does he keep Happ? Does he keep other pieces that still could be on the team next year that would be, frankly, does he keep Wisdom? How many of those guys are actually shipped off? We know that Robertson and some of these other guys are definitely being traded, and Contreras is probably in that group. But then it's also about the return for these players. Are the prospects that they get back, whoever they do trade, 18, or are they guys that are ready to hit the major leagues right now? And then that's not going to be the full answer. It's just kind of give you a little hint at what direction the plan is, and Fly the Dub said it was never a 1-year rebuild. I agree that that's true, but like Cody was saying, is it a 4 or 5 year plan? That would be a problem if you have 4 more years of this before you have a competitive team. So it's kind of like a two-phase thing. You'll get a hint of what's going on after the trade deadline by who they trade and also by who they get back. And then you'll get, as Ryan said, the biggest piece of the puzzle will come free agency this offseason when you see are they actually going to add real pieces on deals that aren't just 1 year? Let's see if we can get prospects for them at the end of the season. So, I mean, to me, it's a two-phase thing. The first move or the first chess piece now will be the trade deadline coming up August 2nd. That's when we'll find out more.
Yeah, Fly the Dub said Cubs spent the 5th most in free agency this past offseason. They did spend money. It's just that a lot of it was 1-year deals. A lot of it was they had a lot of holes in the roster. They kind of had to spend because they had to plug in some holes. Whether that was, again, it's getting guys like David Robertson, Michael Givens, Chris Martin, relievers that I think we all expect to be dealt at the trade deadline. Whether that's bringing in Drew Smyly and Wade Miley on 1-year deals, kind of bring veteran presence to the rotation, and also whom we expect, if they're healthy, to be traded at the trade deadline. So I get they did spend a lot of money, but it wasn't like it wasn't one of those like best case scenario, everything works out and the team can make a playoff push. That was best case scenario, but these moves weren't like these moves weren't to, at least from the outside looking in, it didn't feel like these moves were ever going to move the needle in terms of like, oh, these guys, this Cubs are definitely going to be in the playoffs now because they brought in Drew Smyly and Wade Miley and all these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now Suzuki, once he comes back, if he can, that's obviously the 5-year, basically $100 million on it. Stroman too is a multi-year deal. Like those are moves that could be moves for a competitive future. Whereas these 1-year deals and guys you kind of expect to be flipped, those are money they spent for sure, but those are also like it was going to be tough for them to make this team a playoff team.
Right. So I keep forgetting about Seiya, which makes me so upset because he was so great in April.
Weird, right?
But like that's another guy that goes back to my point. Like when he does come back, how's he going to, like, we got to watch him play out the rest of the year. And then we can really, really finally, evaluate like how his first year in the majors was. And then we can like project, okay, what's he going to do in his second year in the majors? And can we rely on him to be a middle of the lineup type producer? You know what I mean? If he does come back and like does get hot and plays well in the second half of the year, again, it's one of those things that like, well, maybe you're a little bit more optimistic if the Cubs, 1, spend, 2, don't trade every single guy on this roster. And you can just then supplement with some guys coming from the farm next year and in free agency. So again, I understand that none of it looks good right now. I mean, they've lost what? They've lost 13 of 16. Actually got a win tonight. So like I just think that, as far as player talent, and if you have a healthy roster and you actually spend some money and some of the prospects that are supposed to come up pan out, and Brendan Davis plays next year, like this, there's reason for optimism. I'm not saying World Series, but there's reason for optimism, and it all starts with how, in my opinion, how the trade deadline goes, because we've sat here and said it. Contreras, Robertson, Givens, Martin. The last 3 I just said makes complete sense. I think Contreras has become like a polarizing player, and whether in Cubs fandom, and whether you want to extend him or trade him. And there's reasons to trade him. There's reasons to extend him. Ian Happ is kind of becoming something like that too. And he's got 1 more year of control. They could trade him and get like maximum value for him now, or they could just, extend him or keep him 1 more year at least. But if you extend Ian Happ, I mean, it's not like he's going to cost you a ton of money. So again, that's one of those things where I don't know. I feel like the trade deadline will tell us. And then once that, again, all that happens, then we can assess. Like if, in my opinion though, if Contreras and Happ are both gone on top of those relievers, and probably Wisdom too, then I think that tells us it's like we ain't going to be competing for a division title until 2025. And again, I've said it before, the Cubs should not be doing that. So,
I mean, I think everybody agrees with that. And, another thing will be the next 3 months of development for the guys that are on there too, whether it's, Thompson that we saw tonight do a great job, another great outing for him back-to-back, or Steele, who's pitching on Thursday, his last 3 outings, 7 innings, 1 run against the Cardinals, 7 innings, 1 run against the Padres, and 5 innings, 2 earned runs against the Braves. So he's he's shown you something. So maybe you have two pieces of the rotation moving forward that you don't have to spend there. You can spend the money on somebody else. So what would you like to see from Steele as he gets ready to go for 4 straight good starts?
Well, for me, I mean, he's pitched well against Pittsburgh before in his short career. So I'm hoping, he just keeps it rolling, man. It's, to go from the Braves lineup to this Pirates one, even though the Pirates has blown the Cubs out 2 of the last 3 nights, it's significantly different in terms of talent and success. So, I like him. I like him as a matchup for the Cubs, at least going up against the Pirates tomorrow. I think the big thing with him has been command. He'll be really good for 3-4 innings, and then he'll run into an inning where he walks some guys and he kind of loses that focus. I think he just got to continue to work on that and get better at it, and that's all part of the process of being a young pitcher in the league, right? Talked about it a lot about Caleb Killian. I mean, Justin Steele's still going through it. We've seen bad starts from Justin Steele where he's walked guys and looked kind of wild. Ever since he had that conversation with John Lester, he's just been darting fastballs more often than not and just like putting them all in the right spot. So, I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm expecting 7 innings of shoving tomorrow, but me personally, after what we've seen over the last month, I'm expecting a quality start tomorrow at least.
Yeah,
that's what you want to see.
Go ahead, Ryan.
That's what you want to see is a quality start, and just stacking up quality starts. He doesn't have to go 7-8 innings. He get you 6, get you limit the earned runs, like get you a quality start. That's what you want. You want to see that stack up because obviously you want to see the length. He's had a lot of 5 or less inning starts so far this season. He had the 2 7s, prior to this past one against the Braves, but you want to see him start showing that he can go multiple innings. Cody, you mentioned that, he always have that 1 inning that's, a little bit of traffic, the pitch count climbs. You want to see him obviously not have that, but just be able to keep showcasing that he has the ability to get through multiple innings, like 6 innings, get you in line, get himself in line for a quality start, get the Cubs in line for a win. That's what you want to see out of Justin Steele as he continues to develop. His last few outings have been impressive and a good positive signs from him. But again, he's like we talked about Keegan Thompson. You wanted to see him, consecutively, stacking these on top of each other and just kind of showing that he's, the roller coaster is there. He's still a young pitcher, but you don't want the roller coaster to be having highs and lows like that. You want it to be. The ebbs and flows of a season that happens for anyone, but especially a young pitcher. But if you can limit, the downswings and have consistently good, impressive outings, they don't have to all turn into wins, but just have good outings. Like that's the development that you want to see out of Steele. And so, again,
I agree.
You just want to see a good start from him. If he can get you a quality start, like that's ideal. But just something that tells you, like, hey, this guy's still, he's figuring it out. He's stacking these good starts on top of each other. He's figuring some things out.
I agree totally. And, Cody, you weren't sure exactly. You haven't locked down your points bet pick of the week. That's my points bet pick of the week. Steele's going to shove. I'll take the Cubs over the Pirates and Quintana. Come on. I know he's got a 3.66 Quintana, but the guy's, he's not even a Buick anymore, like Cap used to say. Like, come on. Is he a Buick? Buicks are pretty nice.
Jose Quintana's having a good year, and given the year that the Cubs are having, he's due for a Jose Quintana revenge game. Like,
no, Cubs are getting split. They're going to get a split. That's my pick of the week.
I'm trying to think optimistically because the Cubs won 14-5 tonight. I do not want to see the Jose Quintana revenge game tomorrow, guys. Not tomorrow. Not after tonight's win, please. It's already bad enough that they haven't roughed him up in the first 2 games that they've faced him. He's due to give up some runs to the Cubs. And the Cubs have actually hit pretty well against lefties this year. So I don't understand what it is that they can't do off Jose Quintana. So,
Stacks Cub magic, man.
My non-pick of the week, really Cody, don't do the no runs first inning. I'd stay away from that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would stay away from that.
I've been staying away from it. I haven't placed the bet in a while, at least on the Cubs.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll do a post-game show right back here.
Yep.
Right after the game, a full hour, right?
Yep.
And then Ryan, you're going to St. Louis after that. You're going to be in St. Louis for the series with the Cardinals.
Yes, I will. I'll be down at Busch Stadium, first time. Never been there as long as I lived in Missouri. Never went down there, so it'll be cool to see that.
Check out Stuckmeyer Farms on your way down there if you're driving. It's
Sure.
just outside of St. Louis. Apparently, I've got relatives that I don't know that live in the St. Louis area.
There you go.
But everybody's got somebody they're embarrassed about. Thanks for checking out the CHGO.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Me and Luke will be on the all CHGO podcast tomorrow as well. So you get a double dose of me and Stucky. Congratulations.
Actually, and that's at 11:30 tomorrow. So you can have that on the background chatting with us as the game is going on, because Cody's going to be like, his face is going to be like this: one eye on the game, one eye on the podcast.
Now I'm producing that show. I want you guys fully locked in. Okay.
I got a question. Where was my invite? I got 2/3 of the Cubs show on there, and then not all three.
I don't know what we're talking about.
That's not mine.
I have no idea what we're even talking about, to be honest with you.
Well, if we have to bring some ideas to the show, Cody, my first suggestion is let's talk ice cream.
Yes, ice cream and squirrels.
Here's what you should be talking about.
Yeah,
we've got a new Westminster champion, best in show.
That Bloodhound.
Don't say who it is. That's a spoiler alert.
Trumpet, the Bloodhound. His name is Trumpet.
Oh, I mean, that's a good boy.
What a beautiful dog. What a beauty.
He's one of the goodest boys.
Yeah, he really is.
It's one of the goodest boys.
And then I want to show you one other thing. Let's see if I could share this thing real quick. We got to stop that one. I want to share. This was from much earlier, but it's nice to know that even on on your night, our guys from Cubs Related were also watching, and Brendan Miller noted this. Luke has the readers on tonight. It's getting serious.
That's right.
Thanks, Brendan Miller.
There's just nothing like.
I got two names.
This moment.
I got two things I want to say to Brendan Miller. Eric Sogard. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast presented by PointsBet. Cubs win 14-5. We will see you back here tomorrow without Eric Sogard.